What if you could build a content machine that creates a month's worth of engaging social media content in just 30 minutes? Today, I'm revealing the exact AI automation system that's helping small businesses pump out viral content across platforms without hiring a social media team. Just this month, I actually built this exact system for a client, and you could easily charge $2,000 for a system like this. Now, imagine if you did that for 10 clients every single month. This system recently helped my client, who's a solo entrepreneur, transform his content workflow. Before, he spent 15 hours every single week on social media. Now, all he has to do is click a box to approve his topics, and AI is going to generate platform-specific posts automatically. Since implementing this system, his engagement has doubled, while his time investment has dropped to just 2 hours a week. Most businesses are still creating social media content the old way, manually writing each post, copying and pasting between platforms, and hoping something sticks. In this video, I'll show you my proven content machine that automates 90% of your content creation process. In this video, you're going to learn how to set up your Airtable Content Hub, configure AI to write engaging posts, and automate everything with Make.com. Stay until the end for my exact automation template that you can copy today to make content creation effortless. If you haven't seen part 1 of the series where we built an automation that scans the internet for relevant content in your niche, uses AI to analyze and summarize it, and organizes everything into a clear, manageable database, it's going to pop up on screen somewhere up here, and I'll leave a link in the description. And I suggest you watch that video first, because in this video today, we're going to be building off that foundation. In part 1, we built our content gathering system. Today, in part 2, we're turning those raw articles into scroll-stopping social media posts. I'm going to show you how to use AI to craft unique, engaging content specific to each platform. This is going to be content that feels personal, not automated. By the end of this video, you'll have a system that writes better posts than most social media managers without you having to do much of anything at all. So here's the social media system that we're going to be building out today, and let me walk you through exactly what each one of these modules does, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to sit down and build this together from scratch. So basically, this is the Airtable database that has all of the news articles that we want to be creating our social media posts from. Every single one of these has the headline, a little one-liner topic, a summary of the article, and the body of that article itself. From here, we're going to be using this Make.com automation to use AI like ChatGPT to create specific posts for Twitter, LinkedIn, even a blog article. And last, I'm going to show you how you can actually generate AI images all from within Make.com completely automated. What's great is that you can set this automation to run on a schedule. And so once a week or every single day, you can have AI generate completely new social media posts for you. So let me walk you through this automation and then we'll build it together. So basically everything starts in our Airtable database. And this is where you have as much or as little control as you want. Basically, last time we built out a step that allows you to approve certain news articles for publishing. And so the way this works is basically you would open up any one of these articles, you could read the summary, you can read the topic, and if you want to create social media posts based off of this, all you have to do is click this checkbox and the AI automation in Make.com will get to work for you. You can do this for 1, 5, 10 articles, however many you want to create social content for, it's up to you. So basically all this first module is doing is it's searching our Airtable database to find out if the posts are approved. So basically for every post that is approved, the first stop is this Twitter writer, and it's going to go ahead and it's going to create a Twitter post that's really specific and optimized to the Twitter platform. What it's going to do, it's going to create a Twitter post for you based off of the Twitter best practices. From here, I'm doing something that's a little bit more advanced, but it's actually not as tricky as you think. First, I'm generating a random number, and then based off that number, I'm selecting a certain writing framework to use for LinkedIn. So with LinkedIn, there's all sorts of different styles that convert, and you don't want to be writing the same type of post over and over again. So you can use one of these 4 different frameworks to get a different variety in your post. And so this is a what, so what, now what framework. And this one up here is an insight impact recommendation framework. And so they're just kind of like different ways of structuring your posts so that you get different results every time to create a little bit more variety in your content. So from here, based on that framework, we're going to write a LinkedIn post, and then it's going to come over here. We're going to write a blog article. Next, we're actually going to use the content of the article to generate a prompt for an AI image generator. And here I'm using Flux, and I'll show you exactly how you can set this up, making an HTTP request. We're going to generate the image completely hands-free using AI. We're going to grab that image, and we're going to store all of this in Airtable so that at the end, when you come into Airtable, you basically see all of this, the original news article, the original source, summary, et cetera, but you're also going to now have your LinkedIn post, your Twitter post, and your AI image and your blog article all ready to go right here in your database. We're just setting us up for part 3 where we're going to take everything that's in this database and we're going to post it to social media on a schedule that you set. I even have a couple extra modules in here in case you want to create posts for Instagram and Facebook. So we're going to be building everything in make.com. And if you don't already have a make.com account, I'll leave a link in the description where you can sign up completely for free. And all you want to do is you can come in here and click create new scenario. I'm also going to leave links in the description to my Gumroad page where you'll be able to download these blueprints. So all you have to do is come in here and go to import. And you can select the blueprint and import this, and basically everything's just going to pop up so you can follow along, or you can come with me and build this from scratch. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click create new scenario. And if you remember, the first thing that we do is we're going to grab this Airtable module, and all we want to do is search for records. So if you haven't connected Airtable to make.com before, you should have done it if you're following along in part 1, but basically you just click add, come into connection type, Airtable token or key. And if you pop over to your Airtable here, you can come into your little profile icon, go to the Builder Hub, come into the personal access tokens, and create a new token. So I've already have this set up, so I don't need to do this again, but it's really simple if you want to set it up. I'm sure you can figure it out. I always tell people that troubleshooting is a huge part of AI and automation, so being able to figure out stuff on your own and being able to troubleshoot is really going to be helpful to you in the long run. So next, I'm just going to connect it to our topics database that we built earlier, and the table is going to be this table 1. And we'll select all the output fields to output, and let's just come in here and grab the formula that we're using. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this formula in, and I'll tell you exactly what it does. So basically what this is looking for is that we've approved the source. So remember that checkbox is looking to make sure that the source is checked and that there isn't anything in the Twitter copy field, which means we actually haven't already generated social media content for this post. So in order to set this up, you have to type and, all caps, parentheses, bracket. This is the name of your field. And in here you can see we have our field name is this source approved for social. And so this is source approved for social equals 1, which means true, which means the checkbox is checked. And so it's looking to make sure that the checkbox is checked, we've approved it, and that we don't have any content in the Twitter copy field, which we actually haven't set up yet. But we can just go ahead and set that up now. And I'll just go ahead and click right click. And I will go ahead and create this long text, and we'll just call this Twitter copy. So now that this exists. And so at the end, once we have our Twitter copy created, it's actually just going to store it right here in this field. And basically the limit is 10, and you can set this as high as you want. If you have 100 posts that you're doing every single day, set this to 100, right? This is basically just seeing how many articles do we want to return. And I'll just say 10. So we can just go ahead and run this once. And so you can see what we have here is we actually only have one bundle because the only thing we've approved is this one article right here. So we can set this to 3. We can checkbox 3 of these. We can come back in. We can run this again. And now you can see that we actually have 3 different bundles for each of those 3 different articles. So this is the beginning of the entire automation. The next thing we want to do is we want to connect this to our Twitter writer. So in order to do that, you just click the plus and you wanted to search for ChatGPT and come in here and we'll go to create a completion. And I already have this set up. So I'm just going to paste this in here and I'll show you exactly how I've set this up. So we have the select method, create a completion, the model. We're going to be using ChatGPT 4.0. And basically the first thing you want to do is you want to create a system message. You know what? I'm actually going to delete all these so we can set this up from scratch. So basically, this is what it's going to look like when you have a blank ChatGPT module and you just click add a message and you select developer system. And basically, this is the system prompt. This is just how you want this ChatGPT to behave. And we're just going to say you are a helpful and intelligent Twitter writing assistant. And we're going to add a second message, which is going to be a user message. This says, act as an informed Twitter expert in the cryptocurrency investing industry. And so for us, we're going to say, instead of cryptocurrency investing, for me, I'm going to say artificial intelligence, if I could spell. And you should basically just change this to whatever your niche is or whatever you want to create your posts on. You'll be provided with a piece of content. This could be an article, a summary, a LinkedIn post, etc. You'll create one optimized Twitter post based on that content, incorporating Twitter posting best practices and using the structured outline below. Here's the prompt. So it's telling it to read the following content and create one engaging tweet. Keep it concise. Use this format, hook, explain, question, and hashtags. Add a space. Your output must be a maximum 240 characters, etc., etc. This prompt will be included in the blueprints, and I'll also include this on the Gumroad in kind of like a separate package for you. We can download all the prompts that I use in this automation today. And the last thing we want to do is we just need to add one more message here, which is another user message, which we want to make sure we're grabbing the summary and the source body. So I'm just going to come in here. I already have these deleted, and we're just grabbing this from the original Airtable, and this is the source summary. And we're just grabbing the source body. So basically, this is taking the summary that we generated earlier and the actual body of the article. So we can come in here and we can do this. And I'm just going to change this to 1 so that we can run through the system once. And so while we're testing, we don't have to have a whole bunch of iterations running. And so there is a little filter here that I set up, and this is just checking to see if we actually have content approved. And the reason I did this is that if we have this set on a schedule to run like every morning or something, and maybe I didn't get to it the night before, maybe I didn't check any boxes, like there's nothing approved. I just don't want this system to run. And so I'm just going to come in here and change this to total number of bundles is greater than 0. And I'll click save, and you can kind of set up this filter just like this. And make sure you're in these numeric operators down here, which is right here in these numeric operators. So these are equal greater than 0. We have multiple bundles to use. We can just go ahead and we can run this once. The Twitter writer is going to get to work. Basically, the article that it's scraping is this OpenAI debuts browser integrated AI agent operator. Here's a summary for the article. And then in the body, we have this whole article, which is like the full text of the article. And so basically, this ChatGPT module took all that into consideration, and it created just like a little tweet for us. OpenAI's operator lets AI navigate web browsers autonomously, simplifying online tasks. Yet, usability and security need refinement for broader adoption. This is a $200 a month cost justified for you. So this is great. Like, we can set this up, and this will get posted to Twitter, and hopefully you'll get some engagement from it. What's really cool is that because we're scraping these RSS feeds, which we set up, is basically we're always going to be creating our social media content based off of like current, relevant, trending articles. And so we always know we'll be talking about whatever everybody else is talking about. So now really this is kind of the basis for the entire system. And once you understand how to do this first part right here, you understand a lot of how this system works. The next thing we want to do is we're just going to create this LinkedIn writer here. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this module, and then I'm going to show you how these writing frameworks work. So I'm just going to paste this in, and really this LinkedIn writer is set up largely the same to how the Twitter writer is set up. So remember, we're going to create a new ChatGPT completion. We're going to say you are a helpful and intelligent LinkedIn writing assistant. And I also told it to use single dashes in place of bullet points, because every time I was outputting bullet points, I was getting like a whole bunch of weird like stars or asterisks. And so I just wanted to use like single dashes. It's a lot cleaner. And then this is going to be the output of the writing framework. So I'm going to show you in 1 second. And then the role, another user prompt. And basically, again, we want to include the summary and the body of the article so that it knows what to be talking about. And I'm just going to call this social post creator. Make sure to name everything. I'm just going to go ahead and click save. This is fine. And I'm going to show you how these two frameworks work. So I'm just going to copy these over and paste these in here. These are really, really powerful. I have a whole video on my YouTube page just about writing for LinkedIn. I'll leave it up here for you somewhere. You can go ahead and watch that full thing just to learn how to create really unique posts for LinkedIn. So I will unlink this. I'll drop you in here, and I'll drop you in here. So basically, what this is doing is every time you run this, this is doing is generating a different random number. So right now it generated number 1. I'm going to run it again, and you can see here it generated number 4. So basically there's a formula that you do, and this is the formula. I'll leave this in the description too. The only caveat that got you here is you want to make sure that you're actually using the functions like the multiplication and addition function, which can be found over here in this math tab, as well as this random here. Because otherwise the formula won't work properly. You can't just type this in. But basically what this is doing is it's just generating a random number between 1 and 4. And if you wanted a number between 1 and 10, you can just change this number here to 10. But since we have 4 writing frameworks that we're using, we're just going to generate number 4. Although this is the little bit more, like this is probably actually the most advanced concept in this entire video. It's this kind of switch module. And basically what this switch module is saying is, I'm going to close these output fields down so you can stay. It's actually really simple if you think about it. It's saying, if you see the number 1, do this output. If you see the number 2, do a different output. If you see number 3, do this third output. And if you see something else, in our case, it's going to be 4, output this. And so basically what's happening is it's just looking for whatever number the random number is generating. And it's basically going to output a different writing framework for every single number, right? If the random number generator is generating number 1, it's going to output the PAS framework. So the problem, agitate, solve framework. If the random number generator generates number 2, it's going to output this insight, impact, recommendation framework. And so all it's doing is basically randomly selecting a different framework for writing that we're going to use in this LinkedIn writer ChatGPT module. So every time we write a post for LinkedIn, we're going to get a different style of post. I'll click save, and basically all we need to do is we just need to connect this back up to that framework switch. So I'm just going to delete this here, and basically I just need to grab the output from the switch here. And really this is all we need. And I'm going to go ahead and click save. And so I'll auto align this, and I'll just run this once more so that you can go ahead and see what we're creating here. And so again, we're grabbing the article from Airtable. We're creating our Twitter post. Now we have a new Twitter post here. We're generating a random number. In this case, it was 1, which means we're probably selecting the PAS framework here. We're now piping in the PAS framework into our LinkedIn writer. And basically now we're getting this output, which says, imagine your browser doing the boring stuff for you, filling forms, ordering groceries, and more. That's the promise of OpenAI's new tool Operator. However, like any tech innovation, it comes with its hurdles. And then we have a couple bullet points. We say, okay, yeah, but there's hope. And here's a couple more positive things. And then kind of like a CTA, what intrigues you the most about AI tools? Share your thoughts. And so again, we're going to store this in the Airtable database. And when we want to go to publish LinkedIn later, we're going to have this all ready to go. So if we come back here and we reference the original automation, the next thing we have here is our blog writer. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy this and paste this in here. And I'm going to connect this up. And what we're doing is, again, largely the same thing. And I will leave a link in the description to Gumroad where you can get all the prompts that I use throughout this entire automation, as well as a link to the blueprint. So you can just go ahead and import these in. So we basically have the same 3 prompts. We have the developer and system prompt, your helpful and intelligent blog writing assistant, a user prompt. So please create a long form blog post based on the provided article content. And we're telling it to write in Markdown format, which is the popular format that most blog platforms understand. Say this post should be around 1,000 words. If you want this to be shorter, 500 words, 300 words, whatever, just go ahead and change this in here. And then I say the post should follow the following formula. Make a conviction statement, write a personal body with some sort of personal anecdote, and then have a learning moment where the reader gains something of value from the post, and then end with an emotional closer in the form of either a who, what, where, why, when, or how question. So in this way, we'll indirectly encourage engagement. Just kind of a couple things about formatting, like title and headers. Don't use any emoji. I like to mix up paragraph and bullet point structure so that we create a little more variety in a post. And again, this is totally customizable to you. Like if there's a way that you like writing, like come in here, change this prompt around. You don't have to follow what I'm doing. If there's a different way you want to do things, this is the place to do it. And the last thing again is we're just piping in the summary from the article and the source body itself. And so we're going to go ahead and we're just going to pipe in the body here and click save. And so I'm just going to run through this one more time just so we can see everything working. The Twitter writer, the random number generator. Let's see, we generated 1 again this time. Probably next time it'll be something different. So a new post using the PAS framework. Here we go again. And then at the end, it's going to take a couple seconds to write the blog article because it's 1,000 words. So it's going to be a little bit longer. So we're just going to let that complete. And now we have a new blog article ready to go. And here's the result. OpenAI's Operator pioneering the future of autonomous web browsing. In the rapidly evolving field of artificial intelligence, OpenAI has taken a significant leap forward with the introduction of Operator. So now you have something you can go and you can post this to a blog. So again, this is all being done for you. So you have content that you can put out every single day based off of like current events and current news in your niche. And this way you can hit people on multiple platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and your blog, right? And so this is a really great way for you to start building a following and figuring out which type of content works on which platform. Okay, so I may have lied when I said that the writing framework switch was the most advanced part of this. Really, maybe the most advanced part of this is actually generating an AI image to go along with all of your posts. But it's maybe not quite as confusing as you think. And so the first thing we need to do is we actually need to generate a prompt for the image generator. So in the same way that you would prompt ChatGPT, like if you're using an image generator like Midjourney or DALL-E, or in our case, we're using Flux, which is kind of a really high quality video generator, like you need a prompt for it. You want to say like a cute monkey eating a banana, right? Like that's the prompt. So we just want to generate a prompt for the image based off of the content of the article. And I'm using Flux in this, but actually a really simple way is you could just use DALL-E straight inside of this ChatGPT module. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this module in, and I'm going to paste this in. And we have a very similar story here. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to see the prompts that I'm using for this. Again, using ChatGPT, create a completion. The model is ChatGPT 4.0. And I say, you are a helpful and intelligent Midjourney image prompt writing assistant. Do not include any quotation marks or formatting like colons, semicolons, etc. in your outputs. Do not include any line breaks or extra spaces. So I gave it kind of like this extra direction because I found that it was like putting things in quotes and directly pulling things from the article. And when I added quotes into the image prompt, it was messing up my requests to Flux, the AI image generator. And so I was just getting an error message and I wasn't getting an output. So I want to make sure that I don't include that, just the prompt. Then I have this user prompt that says, analyze the article summary to identify key elements, a primary subject, an unexpected environment, mood, atmosphere, and any unique details. And then I say, use the extracted information to fill in this Midjourney prompt. I know I'm saying Midjourney. I could just say AI image generation prompt. primary subject in environment with the mood and atmosphere and any unique details. And in my case, this is kind of like the style that I want, like a photorealistic. It's 8K. It's really clear. But again, if you want something more like fantasy or mystical, like you could change these kind of like style prompts here to be whatever you want that kind of fits, the content that you're creating for. Here's examples. I say always end the prompt with this. I gave some examples for the prompt. And at the end, all we have to do is kind of pipe in the source summary again. And so now it's taking the content of the summary and it's creating a Midjourney or AI image prompt for me. And so here, I'll just copy and paste this, and you can basically come in here and I can right click and say, run this module only. I can paste in the summary and I'll just go ahead and click OK. And now you can see we have an autonomous AI operator using a futuristic web interface inside an ancient overgrown forest with innovative synergy, holographic data streams weaving through towering trees and glowing mushrooms, photorealistic 8K clarity. I'm curious how that would come out, actually, because some of these themes, like data streams and glowing mushrooms, is maybe a little more fantasy than it is photorealistic, but I'm pretty confident we'll still get something cool. So the next part is actually making this request, in my case, to Flux. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to copy these 3 modules right here, and I'm going to walk you through these. And so what this is doing is this is making an HTTP request. And if you wanted to set this up from scratch, you're just going to click the plus here and type in HTTP and make a request. This part does get a little bit complicated if you're unfamiliar with making API requests. But once you do this a couple times, like you'll actually see how easy it is, and that a lot of services use this type of HTTP API request. So the more you get familiar with this, the better off you're going to be building your automations, because not everything has like its own nice little module in make.com like ChatGPT does. So being able to make these HTTP requests is actually really beneficial if you're trying to build like an AI agency and book clients and things like that. And so I'm using Go API, and again, I'll leave a link in the description to where you can sign up. This is just goapi.ai, and this is my dashboard here. And basically, they're just kind of like, you can do video models or image models like Midjourney or Flux. I'm just using Flux in this case. And basically, all you need to do is if you come down here to API keys, you're just going to want to go ahead and create an API key here. And you're going to need to grab that and bring that over into make.com. So if you come over here into the API docs for Go API, I know that's confusing, but this is kind of the information you need for the text to image generator. And this is going to tell you everything you need to know in order to set this up properly. So first is this, we're making a post request, which means we're like contacting Flux, telling it we need you to do something for me. And this is the URL that you actually need to make the request to. And then the other important thing is you need these headers, which is basically, it just needs to know your API key so that I can access it. I have like $2 loaded onto my Go API account, and like every generation costs like, 1 or 2 cents, like if not less, like it's incredibly cheap to use. The other thing you need to just be aware of is this example, which is kind of like the body for your request. And this is going to come in handy because this is exactly how you need to format everything in order to get your request to process properly. So here we are back inside of make.com, and up top, remember we copied that URL. So here's the URL. I told you the method is post, and so we want to set this to post. And then here for the name, basically you're not going to have anything at first when you see headers, and you're just going to want to add a header, and it's got to be this X-API key. And it needs to be all capitals. It needs to be formatted exactly like this. So make sure you type this in exactly as it's shown here, all capitals with these dashes between X and key. And then for the value, you just want to paste in your API key from Go API. From there, the body type is raw. The content type is JSON, application/JSON. And again, remember, I showed you that example. So you just want to go ahead and copy and paste that example directly in here. And this prompt is actually going to be empty when you paste it. And I'm going to show you what I did here that's really important. Basically, what we're doing is we're going to use replace in these text functions here. And I'm saying replace the result. I'm searching the result of the image prompt generator for anytime there's a new line. So sometimes it'll accidentally insert like new line breaks. And then I'm just replacing that with nothing. I'm saying like, just remove it completely. And again, this is really important because otherwise, if you send off the request with these line breaks, like you're going to get an error and you're going to be kicking yourself because you're not going to know why. This is likely why. And then the width and height is 1024 by 1024. So I'm just doing a square. You can change this to whatever you want. And again, all of this information here, I'm just copying straight from this little example box here. And when you go to paste it in, instead of just hitting Command V, hit Shift Command V, and you're going to paste it in with all this nice formatting here. So it kind of looks the same as the example. Otherwise, it's just going to come out on one line. So I'm going to go ahead, and the last thing you want to do is make sure you just check, yes to parse response. I'm going to go ahead and click save. The next thing I did is I just added a 60-second sleep timer because it's going to take a certain amount of time to actually, for Flux to actually generate that image. I don't actually know how long it takes. I figured a minute was long enough. This has been long enough for me every single time. Maybe it only takes 30 seconds. But again, if you just kind of set this up to run every single morning, like you might be asleep when this runs. So waiting a minute is like not a big deal. So I just have this wait a minute. And then what I'm doing is I'm just getting the image from Flux. And so I'm making a request to this same URL that we used before. And the only thing that you need to add to it is this task ID. So I actually need to run this once in order for the right information to populate. So I'm just going to run this once, and I'm just going to use the result from the image generator prompt from ChatGPT. And so now we have all the information we need. And so basically you can see this linked up here, and all you want to grab from this is if you come into data and task ID, you just need to pipe in this task ID at the end here. And instead of post, we actually want to make a get request because now we're receiving information from Flux. We're not making a message to Flux. We're receiving the information ourselves. Come in here, paste in your API key. This is no longer my API key, so it's not going to work for you. So don't try to steal it. And then body type raw, content type JSON, and you actually can delete everything that's in this body here. So in order to set this up, you can either clone this module or make a new one. And again, parse response, going to go to yes. So this is really all done. We pretty much have everything. So we are searching the Airtable for our news source. We're writing a Twitter post. We're randomly using LinkedIn writing framework. We're writing our LinkedIn post. We're writing a blog. We're generating an image prompt. And we're using Flux to generate that image using AI. And so the last thing we need to do to round out this system is we just need to store everything back in our Airtable database. So we're just going to come in here, and I'm going to click the plus, and I'm going to click Airtable. And what we want to do is we want to update a record. And we just go down here, and I'll come into my news topic database right here. And the table we're going to use is just table 1. And the record ID is, if we scroll down here, we just want to grab the record ID from that first Airtable search records module. And we haven't set up all the fields yet inside of our Airtable. So let's pop over to Airtable, and we're going to go ahead and create the rest of the fields in order to store all this information. So basically what we can do is I can just duplicate this field a couple times. I'll say Twitter copy, going to duplicate that, and come in here, and I will call this LinkedIn copy. Duplicate this again. I will call this blog copy, and we need the image prompt, which is just kind of nice to see what the prompt was that you used to create your image. You may not need it, but it's, we create it, so we might as well store it. And the last thing I want to do is I want to create one more field, and this is going to be an attachment field, and this is just going to be image. And so what's really cool here is basically I love Airtable. I'll leave a link in the description where you can sign up, again, totally for free. You can have 1,000 entries per workspace, and I don't know what the limit is on number of workspaces. So it's gonna I've never had to pay for a thing on Airtable. So again, if we come back into this update of records, and I'm just going to go ahead and refresh this table. We can come in here. We already have the headline, topic, summary, and body already populated. But all we have to do here is come down here, pipe in the result for the Twitter copy, pipe in the result for the LinkedIn writer, same thing for the blog writer, and the image prompt. We're going to pipe in the result from the image prompt here. And the source URL, I'm going to need to run this get image request one time. And so I'm just going to run through this whole scenario for a second just to see this run once. So let's run through the system to make sure everything's working. And I'm going to set this limit back up to 10 because remember, we have basically 3 articles ready to go that are all approved. And so this should do this for all 3 of them. So let's run through the system once. I'm going to go ahead and run this. Basically, we're grabbing the news article from Airtable. We're using the summary and the source body to write a Twitter post. We're generating a random number. See, it's number 4 to figure out which framework we want to use. In this case, we're going to be using the what framework for our LinkedIn post. ChatGPT is writing a LinkedIn post for us, and you can see this here. Next, we're going to the blog writer, and we're writing a complete blog article, complete with markdown format using paragraph and bullet point structure. Then we're creating an image prompt to be used inside of Flux. This is a futuristic humanoid robot interacting with a holographic web interface. We're sending this off to Flux. We're making a request to generate an AI image for us. We're going to sleep for a minute to give Flux time to process that request. We're going to grab the image from Flux, and basically we're going to store everything inside of our Airtable database once it's finished. So I'm going to wait a couple seconds. I'm going to come back when this is all done, and I'm going to show you what Airtable looks like once this whole system has run. So the last thing we got to do now is we basically just got to store the image that's being generated from Flux inside our Airtable database. So if we come down to the bottom here into this image field, basically all you need to do is grab the file URL, which is inside of the get image module, and you come into data, you come into output, and you grab this image URL here and go ahead and click save. So we're just going to save this scenario. So I'm just going to come into the search records, and we had this set to 1, and it was only grabbing one article for us. I'm going to set this back up to 10 because I know we have a few that are checked. So I'm just going to let the system run, and I'm going to come back in a second once this is all done and show you the results. Cool. So the system is done running, and if we come back into Airtable, you can see now that we have all of these fields populated with our Twitter post, our LinkedIn post, our blog, the image prompt, and even an AI generated image. So if we pop this open here, now you can see where the original article came from. Now, if you come down here, you can see all the stuff that our make.com scenario generated using AI, totally hands off. You didn't have to do anything. And if you come down here all the way to the bottom, you can even see that we generated this nice image here that we can go ahead and use when we go to post these to social. And if you want to go ahead, you can scroll through the rest of these, and we have another image, this humanoid robot in the forest. And the last one, this guy on a typewriter. It's only half a robot, but I still like this image anyway. And what's really cool about this system is that once you go to post, if you're unhappy with the copy or with the images, like, you still have total control over this. We haven't posted anything yet. So if you want to make edits to the tweet, go ahead in here and change it, right? Like, change whatever the copy says. And if you want to upload a new image, if you're playing around with AI on the side, you generate a better image, you can just delete the image that's in here and replace it with a new one. What's so cool about these systems is that they can run completely on your schedule. And so the way that these are intended to work is that they all work together. So basically, once you're ready, you can turn this switch on, and you can set this to every week or every month or every day. This make.com automation will scrape your RSS feed to grab the articles for you. So you say you run this early Monday morning, and then 30 minutes later, scenario number 2 runs, and it takes the articles that it just scraped and it creates all your social media content for you. And then in video number 3, I'm going to show you how you can then take those social media posts and actually schedule them to publish on all your accounts. So if you thought this video was helpful, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. I create videos like this all the time. You're definitely going to want to check out part number 3, where I show you how to take everything that we built today and actually schedule your posts to your social media accounts. I'll see you over there.